I could take a photo like that. Let's face it, street photography is hard, and if you're just starting out, it could be even harder. It could leave you with so many questions. What do I photograph? What gear do I need to take with me? What if someone asks me what I'm doing? These are the kind of questions that are buzzing around in your head. I've got 3 tips and tricks photo books that every beginner street photographer needs to pick up. My name's Tom, I'm a photographer from Manchester, England. On the channel, we talk all things street photography related and just photography in general. If you're into that kind of thing, hit subscribe and give us a like. These 3 books will cover everything, from what to photograph and how, to the very basics of using your camera and the gear. I'll put links into the description where you can find these books and other photographers' channels. That's the intro out the way. Let's dive right in. The first book I'd recommend is The Street Photographer's Manual by David Gibson. This book was a starting point for me when I first started out. It showed me how to see a photo in the street, and it showed me so many different techniques and approaches to photography. The book itself is divided into 5 chapters. Each chapter is packed with projects for you to go out and try. And there's loads of techniques like layering, motion blur, and reflections. These are really easy to apply to your own work once you know how and you know what you're looking for. One of the best things about this book, it has some profiles on some absolute legendary street photographers, which opens the door to inspiration and to some names that, as a beginner, you never would have even heard of. And it just fully leaves you thinking, I could take a photo like that. This book is a must-have if you're just starting out, and I can absolutely guarantee, even if you live in a tiny little dreary town, you're definitely going to come back with some photos the second you step out your front door. This book proves that you don't have to live in New York, that you don't have to live in London, that you don't have to live in Paris or some of the major cities in the world to do street photography. Street photography is about going outside, leaving your front door with your camera and documenting what is out there in the world. In a nutshell, you've got to pick up this book. It will definitely point you in the right direction if you're struggling on what to photograph, where to photograph, how to photograph. The next book on my list is Mastering Street Photography by Lloyd Duckett. I remember the days of searching YouTube when I first started out doing street photos. And I came across Brian's videos straight away, and they were an absolute massive help. Much like the Street Photographer's Manual, there's loads of techniques packed into it. The book covers things like equipment, gear, whether you're going to be shooting film or digital. If you are shooting digital, are you going to shoot RAW or JPEG? It also mentions about technical skills like understanding exposure, composition, shooting in low light. There's even a section on zone focusing. Personally, if you're starting out in street photography, that is a skill that you need to master. Overall, the book's informative, covering the pros and cons of different cameras, basic technicalities, post-production, and even the way you portray yourself on the street, which is massively important. And this book is absolutely perfect for someone that is starting out at the very beginning of their photographic journey. The last book on my list is by an absolute legend in street photography. It's How I Make Photographs by Joel Maier. It doesn't go into too much detail about gear, but it does mention how you carry yourself on the street, how you approach a scene, and how you interact with the people that are around you. The first few pages, Joel talks about his beginnings as a photographer. He talks about his encounter with Robert Frank and how that spurred him on to want to go out and take photographs. And as soon as he stepped out into the world, everything changed. It's a good book because Joel talking about this encounter with Robert Frank fills you with hope and a sense of inspiration. And it just shows that even some of the greats in photography all started where we were at one point, or where you guys were at one point. He didn't even have a camera to begin with, and he said he wanted to go out and be a photographer. Joel himself was in the same place that we all were, and that everyone is when they first go out taking photos. The book talks about how to be present on the street, talks about body language, how to make connections. It's an excellent little book for any photographer needing a nudge and validation on your process. This book will tell you what to look out for when you're out and about, and it's also packed full of Joel's work. And if you're not familiar with Joel's work, it's a good starter to sort of get, because there's all sorts of stuff in there, from like Cape Cod, from his Redhead book, from absolutely everything. So I suggest, out of all of them, you probably pick this one up. If any of you have read any of these books or you've got them, let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you tried any of these techniques? Do you incorporate any of these techniques in your work on a day-to-day sort of basis? Let me know below. I want to hear what you've got to say. As always, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to go see some of my work, you can find me over on Instagram. The username's @PigeonUnderworld. I'll pop it up somewhere around here. Peace out. Much love.